Hey guys. So sorry about that. Yeah, so me and Heidi are in person this week. And yeah, we're doing the AMA live with you guys the last week before chapter 2 releases. So this is an exciting week for us. Basically, we're just getting the last pieces together and ready. It's basically good to go. We've been play testing with content creators, and they've been giving like feedback. They've been getting all the alpha, and they've been getting ready to also go live with the content they have prepped for chapter 2. So chapter 2 release date still going to happen. June 17th and 18th. Those are the dates it's going to be coming out. Essentially, what's going to happen is we're going to take about like 12 hours of downtime, and then we're going to basically migrate all your new data into this format. There's millions of users that we have to go through. It's a pretty strong technical feat that we have to do. And sorry, there's been like a few technical difficulties.
It's been a little chaotic today, but we're making it work. So
yeah, Heidi's laptop decided to die like just before this.
Yeah, I just had to buy a new computer, so a little chaos on our end. But yeah, very exciting times. Seeing all the creator feedback has been so fun. And if you didn't know this yet, a lot of Pixels content creators have access to like a test version of chapter 2. And so go follow all of their socials. Like a lot of people have been live streaming, making YouTube videos, a lot of content on Twitter. It's also been great for us because we've seen a lot of your feedback, which obviously is a major reason why we wanted to open it up to more than, I mean, farmhands did a lot of work first, and then we, move on to the creators and all of that. So really exciting times for us. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, today we can just go through some regular stuff. I think we can really answer a ton of questions if I can get my laptop working. And then
yeah, so I think the goal of this AMA is, so it's basically like the last chance for you to get alpha on how chapter 2 works before it goes live, right? And there's a few goals that we have with chapter 2. So chapter 2, I just want to reiterate what it is, why we're doing it, and what you can expect from it. So chapter 2 is a systems update to Pixels. It's basically going to look the same on the top level of chapter 2. Like the graphics won't change. Like if you take a look and you don't look very hard, Pixels won't look like it's different at all. But when you start to peel back the layers, it's going to be a very, very different game. It's like basically a whole new game that we're releasing. The reason why we're doing this is because we are really lucky. We've been building a live Web3 game for 2 years, and we've learned a lot of lessons over the last 2 years and how to make a Web3 game actually work. And there's some things about the first version of the game that we released, chapter 1, that are working really well. And there's some things that aren't working as well too. And this is kind of our chance to course correct some of the issues that we see and also set a better base for the future as well. So the end goal here is maybe 2 different things. It's 1, to make the game more fun and to make the future of the game more fun as well. Then 2, it's to create new systems that make the game more sustainable and make more sense to our users. So if we want to go through the history of chapter 1, it's kind of funny how we got here, right?
It's been a journey.
It's been a long journey. We have a young, hungry team that basically just built whatever we thought would work. And it's been like a hodgepodge, like a whole weird mix of all these different features that have come together. Chapter 2 is kind of our time to clean up a lot of the core systems of the game to make it make more sense and add progression into the game too. I think if there's one key word for chapter 2 that I have to say, it's progression. And what that means is that
that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one, right? Progression. So what it means is that we are really focusing on giving you more things to do in between levels. Levels become a much important part of the game, and progressing through the game, the levels, the content is going to be a lot more important to your experience as well. Right now inside of Pixels, you get access to most of the content pretty quickly. If you really are dedicated, you can do it in a couple of days. And that's not going to be the case with chapter 2. It takes a lot longer to get through the content. But there's also a lot more content there as well. And that's been the key focus. So, there's, dozens of new industries coming out, dozens of new resources, new tools, new ways to play. You have spec upgrades coming, house upgrades on specs and land. There's a lot of new content for you guys. And it's funny because I think even some of the content creators have been getting a little overwhelmed because there's so much to do.
It's just a lot more fun though. Like I feel like as it is right now in chapter 1, there's lots of different things you can do, but it's a very like straight shot. Like I want to mine. Here's what I got to do to get a mine, Whereas in chapter 2, there's just so many different types of gameplay that you can involve yourself in and so many different opportunities to kind of like make the game your own. Right. And this is just the beginning too. Like we keep saying this because we want you guys to know, like, this is just, we are revamping the game and the mechanics and like a lot of different areas, but there's so much more that will come. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that. I'm really excited for like the future releases. Obviously as a team, we're starting to prepare for those future releases in the back end. So yeah, my computer is in the works. I think I might be able to get it going. But
so yeah, there's a few things that people have been asking questions about. And yeah, I think today we'll go into some of the questions. I think maybe it might be easier just to start with some of the questions now. And what we'll do is we'll go through some questions. We'll show you some things in game if you guys want to take a look at them. And we'll kind of go over this. So we've released chapter 2, the content creators. If you're really following Pixels, you probably have seen some of the content from your favorite content creator. The whole point of this was basically, one, Pixels is not solving all of its issues when chapter 2 comes out. One of the issues that we still see is, we haven't really put time into the onboarding experience because we still want to focus on this core audience of users that we have right now. If you look at the stats, Pixels is actually doing pretty well when it comes to revenue, retention, all this side of things, but we're still not ready to go mass market yet. And it's crazy that we're saying this at like millions of users playing in the game. But there's still a bit of work that we want to do here. So one of the focuses is on these system changes, and then we can start to focus on some of the onboarding experience, basically making the game make more sense for new users, making the tutorials better. But right now we don't have that, right? So, this is a mutual benefit here where us giving content creator access early on means that, there's actually content for people to learn how to play chapter 2 when it releases, because it's going to be a good edge if you go and play the game and get access to this content. And then it also helps us too, because now people actually understand how to play the game without us having to like go and redo the onboarding process and all of this kind of stuff. So those things will be coming after. Basically the next month or two after we release chapter 2, what we're going to be focused on is basically reacting to your feedback and making sure that we have the game in a spot where all the players feel good, the community feels heard, and those changes are respected. So yeah, there's a lot of time, effort, and energy getting put into that. And that's basically our promise to you guys after we release chapter 2. We want to make sure that we are, doing the same things that we've always done, but like to the extreme, right? We want to make sure that we're very responsive. We want to make sure that we are listening to you guys. We want to make sure that we actually make the changes that the community want to see as well, because some of the things that we release initially are going to be well received. Like some of the stuff is going to be super fun, like awesome changes. There's going to be some things that make you guys upset maybe. And, we don't always know what those things are going to be. So, if you see something that you don't like, you're totally allowed to say it. We want feedback. We want your opinions. We want to know what you guys want to know. But yeah.
Just give me 1 second.
But be nice about it if you get feedback. We're here for you guys. We're on the same team, right? Like you guys and us, the devs, we are on the same team. We're all trying to make Web3 gaming a little bit better. So don't worry too much about it. If you have any issues with gameplay, anything like this, say it and we'll help fix it. So we'll go through some of the questions. We'll go through some of the concerns today. And yeah, let's get into it. So I see some good questions already. Like, for example, this is a popular one. When will the carnival come back? I can't give too much alpha, but we're going to try to get something out at the release of chapter 2. So one of the issues inside of the game when we first released chapter 2 is that there'll be a certain amount of items that are kind of like almost too hard to get initially, where, if you have been following content creators and following the alpha there's going to be like tier 3 and tier 4 resources that you need tier 3 and tier 4 tools to get. And they're going to be kind of hard to get them. So one of the fun things that we can do is launch the carnival and give away some of the high tier tools and things like loot boxes from carnival tickets. So I know a lot of you are sitting on carnival tickets. That'll be a fun way to use them. You might have a chance of getting some of the rare tools. If I'm thinking like RuneScape or MMO, like how I view some of these tools is like, if you remember people walking around with like dragon long swords in RuneScape or abyssal whips in the early days, that was the biggest flex. Having like a tier 4 pickaxe, it's gonna be a big flex in Pixels originally. So some fun stuff there. People keep asking about the spec upgrades. So if you guys haven't been following along, and maybe we can show some of the spec upgrades again too, if somebody wants to share screen.
Yeah.
On what
Okay.
that looks like.
Let's get. We have a team member they're gonna help us in the back end. So give us 2 seconds. As we mentioned, today's a little chaotic. Okay, it's fun.
Yeah.
We're running with it. Okay, he said it'll take a minute. So
okay, sweet. So no, there's another question just about. Okay, yeah. So here's another question too. So we've seen some questions and concerns about spec upgrades, and I want to explain to you guys what we're thinking about spec upgrades and why we're initially doing it this way. At least we'll see if it works and then if it doesn't work. So one of the things that we're hyper aware of with chapter 2 is, and part of the reason we're releasing chapter 2 is because we believe it's more Cybele resistant, or more bot resistant. So we talk about bot resistance and anti-bot stuff in these AMAs a lot because I think it's one of the biggest problems inside of Web3 gaming that needs to get solved. And the reason why it needs to get solved and why we care about it so much, there's a good aligned incentive between us and you guys, is that when a bot gets rewards, it's rewards that don't go to a real user, and the bots are basically like immediately dumping the rewards, right? So it's not good for anybody in the ecosystem if a bot is the one that's getting these rewards, right? What we want is we want real users to get rewards because we actually think they might use them in the game, right? Like that's our end goal. We really want to be giving tokens to people who we think might actually use them or actually at least want them inside of the game. And there's a lot of work that we've been doing there, but you know, there's so many things that we've been doing to like solve this issue. You know, there's like invisible captchas that we have. There's prevention detection side of things. There's like, you know, the data science that we've been doing on the back end. There's reputation, and now there's this other layer that we're adding as well too of game design. Because if you don't have a game that is also anti-bot or anti-Cybele, if your game design encourages it, that's also an issue too. So there's a lot of changes in this game to address these issues as well. So part of
just mentioned, some people don't actually know how much the spec upgrade is.
Yeah. So I'm explaining the thought process here and like what we're thinking about because it ties into these two things a little bit, right? So again, the main goal here is, you know, in chapter 2, we want to add progression, and we also want to add Cybele resistance. So what we're trying to do in the end outcome that we're trying to achieve is we want to give more rewards to more real users who want to use the token. And one of the best ways for us to understand that is players who further progress through the game. So essentially players who are higher levels, who have more skills and who have put more time into the game, they should really be earning the most, right? And that's a good incentive for you if you're an early player to go further through the game as well and get further through the game. So we can even layer more of the incentives towards the top because you know you have something to shoot for. And then it gets a little bit harder for a new fresh account to bot the game as well. Some of the biggest changes to the resource generation is going to be on the land, right? Basically every single resource is single use now. And that makes it a little bit more anti-bot too. But we've also added more single player elements as well. So a little bit of the balance when we talk about like anti-bot and user experiences, you know, we want to have a good first user experience. We want to have some single player experiences. We know that they can also get abused if we're not very careful on that. And the balance that we're going to start to figure out is, you know, how many rewards can we give to players who are like earlier in the progression, who haven't interacted with guilds yet, who haven't done that? Like, what are the right tells to do this? And, you know, how do we actually reward this in the right way? And then what are the costs that should be associated with progression as well too? So here's our initial philosophy and our initial best guess. For spec upgrades, what we want is we want to make it so that you can buy a spec upgrade with the pixel that you earned inside of the game. And we want to do it after about like 2 to 3 weeks is kind of the idea. So we want to have you be able to upgrade a spec with about like 2 to 3 weeks worth of work, maybe a little bit more. But this is something that we're going to be playing with a little bit. So what I'll say is we're going to lean a bit more conservative at first. We'll have it be a bit less time at the beginning. And if we see the need to increase it, we will. So if you want to frame it as like, maybe let's frame it as it's on sale initially, right? The spec upgrades, they're probably going to start cheaper. And if we need to increase them, we will increase them. But I think we want to lean it lower at first. The idea is we really want a large majority of the player base to be able to access these features, which is a little bit different than some of the stuff before, right? So this is some of the play that we're going to be getting. Like the idea is we want more people who are giving Pixel to have a reason to use it, right? So really we want 1 million people to upgrade their spec rather than just 10,000. And I promise you, if 1 million people upgrade it, it doesn't break the economics of the game. This is pretty like thought out. But if it does, you know, we will adjust accordingly. But this is the stuff that we're monitoring most closely. So the question is around botting and stuff like that and progression. What I'll say to you on this is remember, spec upgrades are not the only progression. So you're going to have to go through different levels. You'll have to go through different resource generators or different industries. There's tons of new industries inside of chapter 2, right? And how specs will work is they can place tier 1 and tier 2 industries on their specs. And then tier 3 and tier 4 are exclusive to the NFT lands. Now, there's a lot more industries in the game already after we release chapter 2, but then we're also going to be releasing more and more content. I think on like a monthly cadence is what we're going for. So we want to release new industries basically every month with new content, new items, new things to do, some caves and stuff too. So yeah, there's some cool stuff coming there. But just note that like there's progression just beyond spec progression, right? There's industry progression, there's level progression. There's a lot of other things we can look at when it comes to like this anti-bot stuff. One cool fun fact is our lead game designer who's been designing the system. He calls himself a professional gamer. He was like professional, like a couple different things, but a lot of the income he was making at 1.2 was through botting World of Warcraft and RuneScape. We literally got one of the botters and we brought them on the team. Yeah, which is kind of cool. Like we basically, it's like actually extremely important when you design MMO economies, like have this completely in mind. And I think it's probably the best fit we possibly could have got for this role. The person that's designing this kind of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, this is like, we've been thinking about this for months and months and months. If I can think like we have a lot of considerations, there's a lot of different levers we can play with here. But yeah, we want to make it so that it's accessible to more users as well. I think it's going to be better for everybody if it is.
Absolutely. Okay, I've been pulling aside some questions here. Yeah, click that one because I'll just mention. Okay, so UGC, I actually started going through a bunch of UGC yesterday, which is great. We had a little bit of extra time, so I went through some. I will say a lot of people are submitting a lot of trash. I'm gonna be blunt here. It's not gonna like they just submit a lot of things that make it difficult to be kind of fast about it. So we're discussing ways that we can make it a faster, like better experience for all of you. And that, yeah, basically that. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna keep going through a bunch of them, and hopefully yours gets approved.
Okay. Oh, yeah. How the reputation more? So yeah, reputation is going to be changing slightly in chapter 2 as well. Basically, there's going to be different quests inside of chapter 2 than there is in chapter 1. So what I can say is we're not going to take away any of your reputation, but a new account will have different ways to earn reputation than what was previously in the game before. And yeah, we've been meeting on that a lot and trying to figure out like what the future reputation looks like. What we're trying to do and like a lot of the work that we're doing right now is more on the data science side. So we just started working on this in the last couple of weeks and finally starting to move on it. At first I was like, this is like a philosophical thing, right? As we're starting to scale pixels, we're in a pretty cool spot where we can start to get more talent in certain areas and we can start to professionalize the organization a little bit. But what I started also realizing is really there's good parts to that, but we also should start focusing on our strengths, like being a little bit more cowboy. We talked about this last week. And we just started working on this anyways. Like we don't need to get the right people on it. So yeah, we're doing more work on user segmentation, data science, basically getting a better understanding of how users interact inside of our game so that we can give them more rewards and give them more trust inside of the game too. So reputation right now, it's like pretty easily bottable is what I can say. We don't like where it is right now. We started looking at more real data with like the current scores, and there's going to be some changes coming. And like different weights to the reputation. But your reputation, if you've already done it, won't change. It's just for new accounts moving forward. Please add SFX on chapter 2 when leveling up our skills. It's kind of dull when there's none. It's the only MMORPG when we leveled up our skills and it has no SFX. So this is what you call juice inside of the game. And
which is funny because we just talked about this with KG, who is the leader of the Juice Guild, on our Twitter space yesterday. But yeah, a lot of these like fun extra things that really make the game experience so much nicer and better. It's like all in polish, you know, all of those sorts of things is an area that we absolutely are lacking in, and we acknowledge that. Do we think it's a good thing? Absolutely not. We agree with you. I love anything that is visually pleasing. And yeah, you want that like dopamine rush from finishing, leveling up, those sorts of things, right? So we are actively hiring. I think we found someone. We are hiring people to kind of fill these gaps on the team. So hopefully we can have some more like
so
exciting
the mindset here, right, is we're still really early inside of Web 2 or Web 3 gaming. What we want to focus on is like the core systems before anything else. Like basically, if we polish systems that aren't going to work, we're wasting time, money, energy, resources. So we want to make sure that the systems work first, and then we're going to go through polish, like do some of the optimization that a lot of the Web 2 companies do. Like I've been playing Monopoly Go a good amount because I want to understand like what Monopoly Go actually looks like, what it is. And it's crazy. If you've never played Monopoly Go before, you should try it because it's a work of art in some aspect. It's also like you get to see what Web 2 gaming is like. And honestly, Web 2 gaming is way shadier than Web 3 gaming is what I can say, like from a general standpoint. Like what they're trying to do there, it's like they're trying to get in your brain. They're trying to like addict you with the dopamine, with all the animations that they push. Monopoly Go, it's barely even a game, but like you feel like you have to play it. It's more like a slot machine, if anything. And there's lessons to learn from there, right? Like it is fun to add on some of that polish, but we would prefer something with substance before we do that as well. Say, and yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we'll basically focus on next. So we're bringing in people who have experience with this kind of stuff. Like this is the area where the Web 2 experience is very helpful. And we found a few really great people that can come in and help us with that. And I think somebody asked this question too. So are you still recruiting? Where to apply? There are a few job openings on our official Twitter page. And there's a few more that we're going to be opening up as well too. I think where we're going to start hiring a bit more is on the data science side of things. And yeah, if you like data science, if you like that kind of stuff, like, I'll probably start aggressively hiring for that. Like we'll probably bring on like 3 to 4 people in that area in the next month or two.
I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show spec upgrades because devs are doing stuff in the environment.
Oh yeah. So if you're,
so
we closed off chapter 2 access for a little bit, right? Or we're giving them higher levels, something like that.
Yeah. So a lot of creators have requested. So what we did was we imported all of the creators' accounts as they stand in the production environment, like the one that you guys are constantly playing, obviously. So it would feel exactly like it will when it goes live, and they can make content for that. But with this new tiering system, some of them they don't have high enough level to make content for those higher tiered resources, items, industries, all of that. So a lot of them have requested that we manually update their levels so that they can make content for those purposes. So I believe tomorrow, might be today or tomorrow, we will be increasing a lot of the creators' levels so that they can participate in those like really extreme high tier stuff. So
that's the thing with like some of the game too. So like we're trying to build a base for like years and years, right? So if you were level 100 right now, there would be nothing for you to do. So somebody just asked us actually, oh yeah, it's kind of hard to get levels in chapter 2. It's kind of impossible to get level 85 for every skill in the game. Yes.
Good.
Yeah, but you don't need to be. So there actually isn't much content at level 85 yet. And we're kind of buying ourselves time that way too. So like really a lot of the bulk of the content that we're releasing right now will be like the high tier content will be at like level 40s basically. So if you're at level 40s, you're going to be like really far ahead of most people. It's going to be a really big advantage inside of the game early on because you're going to get access to skills that nobody else can. What's going to happen is you're going to be the only one that can get a resource that's available on the task board. Somebody else will get it in the task board, and they're going to need to come to you to get that resource, right? So there's some fun stuff there. But yeah, that being said, there will be a bit of a gotcha for the tier 3 to 5 kits
so
for this reason.
There's going to be some people out there that have those higher tier things, although I think they still need the level to use some of them.
Yes, you'll be able to place it, I think, on the land so somebody else can use it.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So like an example, let's say you have a tier 2 mine that you have crafted, but you don't have a tier 2 pickaxe yet to use it. So you have to craft that. And then maybe you're not high enough level mining to use it, right? So there's so many different aspects of the game in where you like can and need to progress. That's why it's so much more fun. And it's so much more addicting. I love that because I've been telling you guys forever that I personally find chapter 2 so addicting. And then all of the creators are saying, it's so addicting. I'm not sleeping. I'm like, okay, it's not just me. It's not just me. It's just a lot more fun, honestly. It'll be a lot more fun for you guys.
Hi, Heidi. Don't you think that the lands so full of industries are very bad? What will happen to the decorations?
Oh, okay. So this is just really up to you. Luke is going to shove tons of industries on his land and make it really ugly. And I'm going to have a really beautiful land with a lot of industries, but, pretty. So it really just depends on like what you care about, what your guild cares about. Yeah, it's just a whole other kind of gameplay. So you can really do whatever you want. You don't have to shove every industry in every corner because maybe that's not aesthetically pleasing and that's not your goal or your guild's goal, right? So there's lots of different ways you can take it.
Hi, Luke. Please, we were unfairly banned. Why are you saying we? We were unfairly banned, and the support doesn't help us at all. What I can say is there were a lot of bans that happened over the last little bit. We got a bit better at some of the anti-cheat detection. So we started implementing some anti-cheat. So if you were using automation like a long-range tree clicker and chopper, we got a lot of you guys. I'm not saying that you did it, but yeah, we did a ban for that reason. So again,
yeah, we've talked a lot about this internally, like what should be a full ban, immediately full ban, and what should maybe just be a strike. And thus far, we've mostly just done everything is a full ban, but we recognize that, there are some things that maybe you guys are doing that you shouldn't do, but, if we give you a warning, maybe that's a sufficient amount of, so we're talking internally about how we can improve this process. Luke and I are definitely in favor of having like a strike system. So maybe like you get 2 strikes and then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. People make mistakes, right? And like some of you like love your accounts. And it's like, yeah, it's a hard thing, right? But also it makes other people's gameplay experience really bad. Like
it's not fair. Like,
it makes it really not fun for them, right? So like we have to balance these two things, right? If you're cheating, you're making other people's game experience a lot worse. So we have to do something about it for them because we care about them. Why are you making the game 100x harder and more complicated? That's not fun. I mean, so I will say maybe not everybody's going to like the changes to chapter 2. Like I'm being 100% honest and like legitimate. I think the game for me is a lot more fun in chapter 2. I feel a lot better about it personally than I did with chapter 1. And I think that's most of the responses we're getting, but I know it's not going to fit for everybody either. Like, for example, there's lone wolves inside the game that are a little worried about the guild stuff. What I will say is like we're trying to build a game for a lot of different types of people. And we focus on a few different types of people early on, but there's more content that will maybe be coming for the other types of players inside of the game too. Chapter 2 is like a little bit more competitive than chapter 1 when it comes to getting the right resources, which not everybody likes that. But also there's like key changes that we just had to make for the economics to work too, right? The game's more anti-bot now. And there's things that we want to do that like we just want to reward more players and we want to reward more real players as well. So if we want to fix all the stuff that we had to fix, we had to make some changes. But also we do think it's better. But yeah, if it's not for you, then give us some feedback because there's still some changes that we can make. So we're going to keep doing updates. We're going to be very responsive to feedback and let us know what you like and don't like about it because that's very helpful for us.
Okay, so we are able to do a little live demo here, but it's going to be really funny because Luke and I are going to narrate what is going on while a team member in a completely other place is going to be the one walking us through everything. So yeah, let's bring him up here. Ooh, okay, so we're starting off strong. We're in the caves. Little sneak preview on the cave. Oh, he's buying a mystery box. Okay.
It's funny. I have no idea what's going to. This is fun for me too.
See, that's what I mean. We don't know what he's going to show. So Okay, here we go. Saying hello to Sophia back.
Okay.
Best mod. There you go.
Crowd favorite.
All right, he's heading to his spec. Welcome home. Okay, there you go. Upgrade right away. Look at that. I want more confetti. Okay, placing the mystery box.
Oh yeah, this is like a new mystery box
Not
mechanic.
yet. No, he's gonna upgrade again. Even bigger. Look at that. Here we go. We're just upgrading. We're just going. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because landowners were freaking out a little bit when they first saw these. I have to remind you guys of the tier system. The tiers play like a bigger role in this than just the size of the land. So I know specs are big compared to what they were before, and landowners feel encroached on. But the tiering is what's actually very important when it comes to some of the things we think you care about, which are things like pixel earnings.
Right here you can see. So tier 1 and tier 2 industries. See, that's it. And also they're never as big as NFT lands. Okay, there you go. Is that the last one, or did he have one more left?
I think there's one more.
Yeah, one more. Here we go.
And again, end goal here
Amazing.
is we want to make it so that after
Ooh, mystery box. Wait,
a
wait,
couple
wait,
of
wait.
weeks of gameplay, you get access to these upgrades. So part of the reason is that was cool.
Wait, that was cool.
What,
Whoa,
and you just
whoa.
leave?
That was cruel.
Hey.
Okay.
No,
So here's you. Oh,
he's broke.
he doesn't have enough money. Oh, buying pixel. Okay. Animation. That was cute. I haven't seen that yet. Oh, added a floor. That was great. This is fun.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
this.
We should be streamers on.
Look at us just narrating what's going on.
This is like a let's react video. If you guys want to see that kind
Yeah,
of content, let us
if you
know.
want us to react. Yeah, this is great. Okay, so then we've got our bed here. Okay. Oh, that's a big wardrobe. Wait, whoa, well, look, wait, that was like Luke's. It was called Luke's robe or something. That was great. We can all have Luke's robe in game. He's just leaving it there. Look at the mystery box, had a bunch of cool stuff in it.
Okay.
Damn, he's teasing us.
Yeah, this is funny. Okay, this is a relevant question. Luke, the tier 1 and tier 2 task boards need to ask for items from higher tiers. High tier items should be worth more. Yeah, so the higher up you go basically in tiers, the more pixel earnings you're going to be getting in the task board.
Ooh, we're getting kitchen tiles. Okay. Some textured steel tile. Okay. Tropic Thunder paintings. Some paintings. Cute. Okay. There's a lot more decoration opportunities. I am so excited for that.
Oh, nice.
But we only got to see one. New bed. Some beautiful art. Oh my gosh. Oh. This is so fun.
Okay, I'm looking through some questions right now. There's some good stuff. I'm
just excited watching him. I'll keep live reacting. Look at those kitchen tiles. They're so beautiful.
What about the free-to-play gamers? Is the game still playable by them? So yeah, this is exactly why we're introducing the spec experience. Like this is free to play. So when you play free to play, right, you earn some pixel. And the goal is we want to give you enough pixel to actually use it to upgrade the stuff. So this is technically free to play because you don't have to put in any outside money to actually like enjoy this experience, right? Like we want to start giving the free to play players opportunities to use some of the pixel they have too. If we look at the data right now, not many of you free to play players are actually using pixel anywhere. So this is really your choice if you're in the free to play side of things now. Like we want to start giving you some opportunities to use some of the pixel that you earn inside of the game. Because yeah, I mean, why not? This is part of the reason why we give it to you, right?
So you're telling me that floor tiles cost more than upgrading my house? Honestly, probably. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, there's some tweaking that we'll probably have to do. Like some of this stuff isn't priced
but
yet.
Also maybe
But
like
yeah.
Right, we want to make it accessible to upgrade your lands and like have that experience. But if you want some expensive, nice decor, maybe you might have to cough up some coins, okay? Or what is he getting? A football. Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah, yeah.
named it because Gila was complaining that it was a soccer ball.
What about bookmarks of Pixel? I think this is planned at some point.
Oh, look at it. He's kicking it. Those are gonna get stuck everywhere. Okay, now I'm tired.
Yeah, there are some silly things like this that we'll kind of redo. So one thing that we're bringing on, we are bringing on like a monetization
Wait,
consultant.
wait.
Ooh.
Okay, so this art is in progress. Here's a perfect example of artwork in progress.
What's with the chicken?
What's with the tree circle?
Well, I mean, I understand why people would be dreaming of trees.
Anyways, this one's a work in progress, but you are sleeping, so you get a little bit of energy from that, which is really great. It's kind of like Stardew Valley vibes.
Okay, yeah, so when pet minting, and is the budget friendly for pet minting? Yeah, that's one thing we want to hold off a little bit on. I think we'll do a pet mint pretty shortly after the release of chapter 2. It's time. I want to get in this other mechanic with pets too. Like we have stuff ready for combination. There's just like a little bit of blockchain work that we need to do with that still. But I want to make it so that there's like a pet combiner where you can like put one pet into another and then get like a weird mix of both the traits. But yeah, we'll do a pet mint pretty shortly after. I think it's time for that now. We just have to decide on how many. And maybe we should ask you guys what pets you want because we have like 20 ready still.
Yeah, someone else asked which one actually, and I was going to bring that up for that exact reason. Like, what animal do you want out of normal animals? So we don't have any capybaras, elephants, unfortunately.
I think we do have a capybara.
Do we? Did we get that?
At least.
I asked for one. I said I want a pink capybara that farts rainbows.
Okay, well, I don't know about the fart rainbow part. That's gotta be a grail trait. Okay, and what are the plans for pets? So we're working on some stuff with pets already. Actually, I did an in-game AMA last week, and I think I answered some questions around this, but maybe not all of you got it. But we are working on a couple things with Pixels right now. Right, really, what we're looking for right now are like the 10x opportunities. So one, we have a game that's out right now. It's one of the most popular games in Web3. Like making this game as good as possible is a 10x opportunity. Right, there's a lot of room to go here, and we have like basically most of the team on chapter 2 trying to make it as good as possible. The other things that we're starting to work on too are more of our data science and then the ecosystem expansion too. So, as we've been building out this game, a lot of the work that we're doing is around basically giving out better rewards to more real users and all the hard technology behind that. And the idea is if we get this going pretty well, we can start to use the same technology that we build in other games that we build as well too. So we're already starting to work on some other games. There's 2 in the works right now. There's one involving pets, and then there's one that's more of like an idle clicker game. So yeah, it'll involve like a lot of the other Pixels IP. So there's some work on like the ecosystem expansion side of things. We're also starting work on a book for Pixels as well. I'm not sure if we talked about this in the AMAs, but we probably mentioned it in like a Twitter space. A little bit of
narrative, which is great. You guys love narrative. I love narrative. Like as simple as, the weather systems that we're blowing through recently. Like I think that's the most relevant one we have. It was just fun. It's so much fun to just like have a little storyline, right? So I just laughed because someone made a comment. Heidi and Luke are in the same room. You don't always have to be apart. We're usually in different countries. So, but it's so much fun, obviously, when we are together. I feel like the AMAs are much more casual and fun. Okay.
What about landowners? I'm going crazy. You're talking nothing about the NFT lands. It's because it's crazy that some NFT, to me, it's crazy that some NFT landowners are like, oh, we're screwing you guys. A lot of the game is centered around NFT land. The fact that tier 3 and tier 4 resources are only available on NFT land, you'll start to understand it when the game gets going, especially the end game. A lot of the gameplay is oriented around NFT land.
Yeah, basically anything over level 40, like you have to be on an NFT land.
If I'm being completely honest, we have leaned a lot of the gameplay towards NFT land, especially the end game. And one of my concerns is eventually we're actually going to have to start to increase the spec upgrades and do some stuff there. Like that's my long-term risk assessment where it's like we might have leaned too far into land. So it's funny when we get people being like, we didn't do enough for landowners here. Because I don't think that's actually the case with how the game works. But I mean, we're going to be monitoring all of this, right? Like this is the kind of feedback and the push and pull that we want. A lot of these AMAs are oriented towards not landowners because there's a lot more non-landowners. They just have a lot more questions in the chat, right? But we've done a lot here thinking about this. The reason why we like attaching a lot of the stuff to the land is because there's a limited amount of it, right? So what we do when we have tier 3 and tier 4 resources is attached to the land is there's a global cap on resources that can be created every single day, which means that there's a global cap on rewards. And essentially, you can't multi-account it in the same way that you can of lower tier resources. So if you have a land, if you're a landowner and you want to get resources on this land, if a bot comes onto your land, really what they're doing is they're taking away the resources that you could be getting yourself rather than both of you getting them before, like in chapter 1 with the way the systems worked, right? So now there's this better aligned incentive between guilds, everybody in them, to make sure that they're self-policing on the bots. Because if a guild has a bunch of bots coming onto their land, that's less resources their guild members can get, right? So we're going to lean a lot of the earnings initially to the tier 3 and tier 4. There's a bit of experimenting that we'll have to do between the tier 1 and tier, like basically this free to play, the spec experience, and the like guild experience. But we're going to lean more heavily towards the guild experience initially. We're going to see what it does with all the numbers. Essentially, like there's going to be a lot of tweaking here for the first little bit. And especially as people are starting to level up, for example, like in the first 2 weeks, we might need to give out more rewards to tier 1 and tier 2 resources. And as people level up more, as there's more level 30s and 40s, we can maybe start to give more to 30s and 40s. We probably don't want to give a million pixel to the 10 level 40s. Right. So like we'll probably have to like ease that number up as more people level up. But there's a lot of stuff that we think about there.
Someone made a comment that the Barney Wind narrative was lame. We know. We know. What we're saying is that we want to work more on the narrative side. We want to have more storytelling in game because we know it's so much more fun that way, right? It's so much more, it's like just more encapsulating, right? It's like just so much more exciting. So yeah. You know, we're working on it. And like you said, we're kind of like working on a book even, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we're expanding. It's gonna take a few months to get the book out, but we're literally hiring like
it's not lame.
Yeah, when we
That's Tyler. He's in prod now. Oh, coming to watch.
When we when we go live, or sorry, when we get the narrative out, like it'll be an author that like a lot of people actually have heard about. Yeah, it's cool because we're finally in this spot where like a lot of people actually want to be working with us. It's like a win-win. Like we can get like bigger names to actually do stuff with us because we get exposure. We give them exposure too. So yeah, there's some cool stuff that we're doing there. It's just gonna take a bit of time. We're literally getting a whole book written about Pixel's narrative so we can start to build that IP. We've been a little bit behind on it, but we're gonna start investing in it more.
Oh man. Okay. Rohan is talking about tree kits. You can use them forever. It doesn't really feel sustainable.
Yeah, so that's just part of the tiering too, where it's like in the beginning of chapter 2, tier 1 stuff will probably be valuable because it's going to be like there's not everybody's going to have all of them. They have to buy the tree kits and stuff, right? In like 3 to 4 months, there's probably going to be a lot more tier 1 resources out in the market, right? Like having a tier 1 will not be that big of a deal. And it's going to be like the way that you grind up to get access to the tier 2, the tier 3, the tier 4. But yeah, tier 1 is supposed to be like a lot more accessible than it was before, which is a big difference in the game right now, right? If you haven't been playing the game, it's actually really hard to start playing inside of Pixels right now. You have to remember the new users. So like a lot of you guys are power users who've been playing for a long time, and we have to make the game work for you guys too. But the game dies if we don't also attract new users and like make the experience good for them too, right? So there's like a bit of balance that we have to do here. So like the tiering is why we think about it this way. Like Rohan, you are a long-standing player. You have like a lot of levels, right? Like tier 1, yeah, you're way beyond it right now, to be honest. Like tier 1 shouldn't be a big deal for you. Like you should be going for like, if you have a spec, tier 2 everything. And then like if you have land, like you should probably be getting tier 3 and tier 4 everything, right? So like you probably shouldn't even be thinking about tier 1. But like a new player should, right? So that's what we're thinking about there.
Okay. I think we can remove Tyler. Thank you so much for showing everything. That was awesome. We should do that more often. That was fun. Tyler has more insight too. He's always like ahead of everything. So he'll show us those little things and Luke and I are like, wait, what was that? So it feels like a live react.
Oh, this is a good question. We want to use a friend's spec and let them use ours, and we need to give our friends permission to use my chest land or spec. So one reason why we hadn't wanted to do this initially was it could be really bottable. But
Very.
one idea that we thought about, which we'll talk to devs about, is like, what if you just were allowed to have like one or two or three friends use a spec? Like you had like best friends basically, or we even talked about like a marriage system. Where like you have to like marry somebody in the game and then you can use their spec. There might be something fun there because I know a lot of you play with like, you know, a significant other, like your family, that kind of stuff. It's fun to play with them. So right now, specs are only able to be used by one person, but I think in the future it makes sense to maybe open it up, is what I can say. Okay, so there's two things we're seeing a lot in this AMA too. Fix the values in Barney's barbecue and bring back stacks to 999. So one thing that will not be so popular, and we know it, is we're going to change stack sizes in chapter 2. This is honestly to line up a lot more with normal MMOs. What we're doing here is we are increasing the size of all of your chests to be larger to make up for this. We're increasing backpack size to make up for this a bit too. And then if you have a 999 stack, it stays the same. So it won't change into 99. Like it won't fill up all your chests immediately. But yeah, in the long term, it's going to make a lot more sense with the stacks being 99 rather than 999. So it's going to be one of those changes that's like short-term pain for some people. But like we also think about the new user experience a little bit. The other thing is there's been a little bit of a change to the barbecue.
Yeah, just some energy. So I think a lot of you are directly comparing certain aspects of chapter 2 to chapter 1, which totally makes sense. But what you really need to sit back and think about and when this launches is it's like a whole new experience with new balance.
The balance is different. So
everything is different. So if you're seeing like one thing that's different from chapter 1 that you don't like, there's probably a reason for it when we're talking about balance. So just hang tight. Play some chapter 2. Obviously, we'll still take your feedback if like things come in chapter 2 and we're like, okay, we need to tweak some balance in different areas, we will. But just hang tight on that, okay?
Oh, it's a good question. Let's say I have some crops that belong to levels or tiers 4 and 5 once chapter 2 comes live. Am I going to lose those? You're not going to lose any item that you have. And actually, it's probably a good thing if you have some of those tier 4 and tier 5s in your inventory now, right? Because people are going to want
you might not be able to use them.
Not going to be able to use them if it's an industry, but you will be able to use them in the task board if you get a task for that, or sell them to somebody who needs it in their task board. So it'll probably be valuable.
Right. But if they're like seeds, let's say, and you're not high enough level, you won't be able to use them. But if they're, I don't know how to explain this. Yeah, it's going to be really fun and interesting, but no one's losing anything. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. And what we've been trying to do too is if we turn something into something else, there's a few like things that we're doing conversions around. We're giving you a higher tier. So for example, if you had a chest inside of the game and it's like a normal chest, we're going to give you a tier 2 chest instead of a tier 1. Same thing with like some of the mines, things like that. So we're trying to make it so that you feel like you have a little bit of an advantage in chapter 2 rather than starting like fresh. And you keep all your items. Can we leave items for sale in the market at the time of the update?
I feel like it'll probably just end up in your mailbox.
There's a chance it goes in your mailbox. We've been talking about this specifically, actually. Don't worry about it. Like you won't lose anything if it's in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It'll either stay in there or it'll go into your mailbox.
Yeah, exactly. Will there be cute community events besides energy parties? Okay, so this is something I've been talking about since day 1 at Pixels. And energy parties are fun, but they're not really interactive, right? So I would actually love to hear your ideas. Like what kind of interactive events do you want in Pixels? And then we can, we'll sift through the ideas and see what's technically possible. But I would love to do more interactive events. So I hear you on that. That being said, there is a energy party next Friday, I think. Go look at the event in game on Discord. It is hosted by Pixel Chibis, which is fun because they're a very popular collection right now.
So I'm free to play. I'll never be able to get access to tier 3 or higher resources. That's not necessarily true, actually. So what some guilds are going to do, and there actually will be some public NFT land as well, is they'll open up their land to anybody. So you'll have to go to some of these land to get the tier 3 and tier 4, but you already do that. So
yeah, but it's also interesting. Like we're starting to see like different kinds of communities hosting land, like Loot Rush, for instance, right? They're that rental service that is quite popular right now. They rented a land themselves as a company and left it open for everyone to use. So like there's really interesting styles of community building and gameplay happening.
Yeah, and I expect to see a lot of guilds do like open houses or things like that too, where they like open their land for people to try it out for a few days. I think there'll be some cool stuff. So this is one thing that we're really watching though. And like again, like if we make it so that our free to play user base doesn't feel like there's anything for them, we're gonna lose you guys, and we know that we don't want to lose you. So like give us the feedback so we can make the changes as well too, because we'll be looking at the numbers, we'll be looking at the retention rates by cohort, like types of user segments, so like free to play, landowners, all this kind of stuff. Like we'll be pretty data driven on some of the decisions that we make moving forward. We have most of the stuff ready for this to like make the right decisions. But yeah, don't be so sad. And like let us know what you like and don't like about it. Just what I'll say is give a chance.
Wait, I love this one. Art contest for like the loading screen redesigning. I love this. Wait, we should do this.
That's cool.
For different areas of the game. Like, okay, that sleepy time screen. What do you guys want on it? I think our artists might be working on something, but I would love to hear what you want. That would be a cool screen that we could change that a lot.
Yeah, the other thing I've been talking about, I don't know if we can pull this off. I really want to, but I think we need to like get a dev that would be full time on this, is going open source in the client, so that if you just like have a cool idea, you put a pull request in. But I think we're a little ways from that. Here's a good one. Oh, you guys are gonna be happy. Fix the selling/buying on the marketplace. There's a great update coming in chapter 2. It's not in the play testing yet. You'll like it. It's gonna fix a lot of the marketplace issues that you guys have been complaining about.
Okay, we got 2 minutes left.
Oh man.
We've answered a lot of these questions already, but keep asking. You guys are some great questions.
Yeah, having festivals. Oh, I mean, so when's there's something coming soon, right? Like a festival type thing?
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we like this stuff though. Like if you played Stardew Valley, this is like one of the most fun things. I always wanted my girlfriend Maru to dance with me, but I don't think she thought I was her girlfriend.
NPC.
Yeah. I didn't have enough hearts with her ever.
I found it so hard to get hearts in Stardew Valley. I haven't played it as intensely as he has, more like casually a few times, and they would just get mad at me. They'd be like, why would you give me flowers?
How dare you try to dance with me? The disrespect. You think we're like that? Yeah.
I just like flowers. Barney would never. Barney would love my flowers.
Dang, there are a lot of questions today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's try to get one more before we head off. Anyone calling out to you?
Oh, okay. Hold on. What would the guild task board reward be? XP, pixel. So I think the idea is that it's going to be very similar to your personal task board, but with really hard tasks, like tasks that will take either one person forever or a team, which is the point, right? So you kind of have to work together, and then you should be rewarded in either coins or pixel. XP is interesting.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Maybe like loot boxes also.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the loot boxes will have XP. So what did you call it? What are they called? XP.
Oh, XP lamp. I think we did books, so XP books.
So.
Yeah, okay. Last question I think is a good one. So how can you control the bots in chapter 2 so they only work on their specs and nobody sees them? So we've done a lot in the background here on bot prevention and detection. What I will say is like the stuff that's worked best for us, the reports are really good. Especially sometimes when you get like when people send us some like the farms of like the real world stuff, that's helpful to report that. A lot of the work we've been doing is around like detecting from like the back end and the data science side of things. That's really all I can say about it. And then a lot of the stuff that we're working on now is how can we create systems where we're not even giving them pixel in the first place or as many coins in the first place. And that's kind of going to be the long-term approach. We're working on stuff called user segmentation, and like we're doing a lot of like prediction stuff soon. We already started working on it basically like in the last couple of weeks. And the idea is we want to basically get a good idea of like who a user is by the way that they play the game, and get an understanding of who they are, and then make sure that we change the rewards based on what we know about them essentially. So the idea is we want to stop giving bots rewards in the first place before we even talk about like banning them. So like both of these things combined together with like the gameplay, the progression, all this kind of stuff, we feel a lot better about it. We basically have like a lot more things we can control and play with when it comes to like the balance of free to play versus bots versus like user experience versus like progression, all this kind of stuff. So huge focus. Like I would say it's like the core of chapter 2, like this problem in this conversation here. So yeah, we're excited about it. And yeah, with that, I think we're going to wrap up the AMA now.
Yeah, this has been fun. I mean, I always find it so much more fun when we're together. It just feels like more casual, relaxed. But yeah, thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for everything. I'm so excited for chapter 2 for all of you guys to finally play it and just feel that like all the changes and feel that addiction that I have absolutely felt. And yeah, I guess we'll see you in chapter 2 because it's probably gonna launch like the day before we stream. Maybe we'll stream. We'll be around a lot next week.
So it's gonna be a really busy week on our end next week. Obviously, we'll be like basically around the clock, like monitoring feedback, like talking to you guys, making sure that like all of the issues that might pop up, maybe there's no issues, maybe it's a perfect launch, and everything goes great. Of course, everybody loves everything. Yeah, that's how it's going to go. So there won't be any issues, but we'll be around just in case there are. And we'll be listening for feedback. We'll be listening to how you guys feel. We'll be asking a bunch of questions ourselves too. Like honestly, maybe next AMA is the one to do the reverse AMA, where we ask you guys questions. Maybe like a big mix of both of them.
Yeah, so we do that. We did that before, but there were a lot fewer people watching. So
yeah.
Figure out how to manage that. But yeah, that would be cool. Cool.
All right.
Can we get chapter 2 merch? Oh, I really want to get all of you guys merch. Trust me. We'll see. We'll see what we can do here. Amazing. All right. We'll see you guys in chapter 2.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.